Oh, you're not able to hear. Somebody clicked off this thing. Let's start again. I'm very happy because when I go to the other dimensions, there's very good news. And when there's bad news and a group of us works in the other dimensions, it changes. And I've been documenting the map for months now. And if you've been following me, I'm sure you have found an interesting association between what I'm sketching and the changes, etc., including all that black magic that was done to destroy the relationship between Trump and Elon. And they would do black magic and it would get cleared, and they would do black magic, it would be cleared, and eventually the bad guys won. But I think we should work on getting those two together because it's good for the United States, because Trump, where he lives, channels the energy of helpful friends, which this country and everybody needs, and where Elon has his uh, base has to do with the root chakra, which is prosperity in the United States. So, getting the energies of prosperity together with the energies of helpful friends, that's the feng shui connection with the US map. It's the same thing, the map you have for your home. Getting that reconnected would be a very good thing for the country and for them. So, let me show you. So, today I called together the Mantrista group and I said we need to go and check the United States. Here. So this is what I sketched. Nope. Oh darn, maybe I didn't put them up. This is what I sketched today. So the thing in the middle, that's where Yellowstone is. Now you may say, no, Yellowstone is higher. I'm sketching the other dimensions, and that's where the center is that is waking up or was waking up. This was at 2, I think it was 2:40 this morning, this afternoon. And the whole thing with Trump in a rage, Florida being in a rage, it has to do with Trump. So then we got to work. And I'm not, and nope, that's not it. So I guess I did not um, put up here so that you could see it. Um, this is what we were able to sketch. I'm going to have to get it up. You're going to have to forgive me. I need to get you the proper one because so that you will be able to be happy. And let's see if I can find this easily. I think this is it. Fingers crossed that this is 46 minutes later. We went from this, which is, that's Yellowstone. And I wasn't sketching Yellowstone. I was sketching the map. Why did I sketch the map this afternoon and ask for the group to get together? Because I saw the news about Yellowstone, but I wasn't thinking Yellowstone. I was thinking what's going on in the other dimensions. And yes, Yellowstone is active. So we did this, and 46 minutes later, this is what we got. The Yellowstone activity quieted down. We've got the Merkaba, this protection. It says there, protection reestablished. And we have the unspiraling in the direction, no, in the opposite direction of the clock. Okay. Which means a grounding and a rooting. There was too much energy there in the heart center. So let me show you what I sketched today, which should be this map. Nope, it would be this one. Do I have that twice? Oh, that's interesting. Da-da. So I'll just show you here. No, this was at 3:06. Two 3:06. 3:06. Give me a second. That is weird. I really apologize. Oh, here. This is it. So I don't know that this got put up here, so give me a second. And again, I apologize, but this is just like too important. This should be it. This is it. So this is what I sketched at 6:20 this afternoon. The vertical lines are what come from off planet, and that's the heating up of the frequencies that come from off planet. That's not good. The heating up is the thing that causes the violence, the rage, the suicides. Horizontally, the lines are blue, which is excellent. That's the Schumann resonance. Excellent. Different from the way it was a couple of days ago, different from the way it is in Canada, which is the country that sometimes I sketch above, not looking for it. Then you have triple Merkabahs. That's the triangles, one on top of the other. You have one in orange, which I don't think I've seen before, one in green, and then you have a blue one. Excellent protection. And then from Florida, we have this black, which is really emotions, sad. And then from Texas, the side that Elon is on, there's also sadness. And of course, we have the news that Trump is sick. Well, is that a surprise to anybody? That with this level of stress, because it really doesn't have to do with the age, the level of stress. So I asked permission to be able to sketch what's going on with Trump, to tell him from the other dimensions what it is that's going on and what he can do about it. And that's to everybody's advantage. And I got permission, which surprised me because I thought I would be told no. So here we go. I already know this one thing I'm sketching right now. I am aware, okay? Um, I saw this before, but you know what? I have to take out the background because it's just going to be entirely too difficult for you to see this. Here we go. So here's Trump. He has, actually from here, he's boxed in, and this is black magic. This is called un entierro, which means a burial. When they do this, it doesn't necessarily mean they want you dead, even though it's possible that they want him dead. A lot of people do. But it can be simply to stop him so that he can't move forward, to give him too much of the element of earth. The black magicians know all about manipulation of the elements. You don't, but they do. So when this black magic goes away, it should make an incredible difference in his health. Now, let me talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go into if there's something else interesting that we need to see. Now, this explains the medical situation with his veins and his legs not working as well as they should, so he gets swollen. Now, what is swelling? Swelling is a retention of water, of fluids. Water is emotions. So it makes sense that this would be root chakra, except it's also, I heard and I said, this would be root right here. Got it? But they specifically wanted it to hit also the second chakra, which has to do with sacred, sex, manifestation, and also movement. It's controlled by the water element. So very specifically, they did not just try to kill the energy from root, which is prosperity, security. They wanted to go into the second chakra, and I'm wondering why, if he was a much younger man, or if he did not have a Taurus as a wife and all eyes on him, and let's say he was a playboy, then I would say, oh, they're doing that to kill his sexual energies. I'm not sure that they would be doing that at this point in his life, in history. I'm not sure that they would be doing that. But for whatever reason, they thought it was important to take down that part of him also. They specifically thought about it. Interesting that I was able to catch that. So let me just show it to you with the chakra system. This is the chakra. And from here down, he is buried. But they didn't want to just do it there. They went up to the next chakra. Oh, that chakra has to do with joy. But I'm sure they didn't do it for that reason either. There's a reason why they didn't do that. Now, this is the chakra, the one that has to do with sex, which has to do with joy and manifestation, is the sacral chakra. It's the part of us that has a connection to God. And Trump's spiritual connection gives him a power that if he did not have that, he would not be standing. I was going to show you something. I forgot what I was going to show you. Oh, background. I have a degree in political science. I'm a trained remote viewer. I do a lot of health things. I learned about black magic because in the 90s, my clients who were well to do, because I've always charged a lot, the men almost all had black magic. And I didn't even believe in it. So I would say, somebody did black magic on you 20 years ago? I didn't even believe it. But my training is what I see. That's what I have to. And the person would say, 20 years ago, oh my God, that's when my wife left me and my father died and my businesses all went kaput. And I knew there was something going on. But so through the years, I've had a segment of the population we should pay attention to: Mexican children contacting me that their parent in Mexico, it was always the son and it was his father. This happened several times. My father is sick. They think he's going to die. We've been to every doctor in our universe and we think it's black magic. Francis, let us know. And what does it cost to take care of it? I never know what I'm going to find. And each time I got that kind of a petition, it was black magic. So they paid for that analysis, which I don't do those anymore. And then they paid for the black magic removal. They never got back to me. And I actually should have asked them to keep me appraised. But if I did that, I open a door and then there's questions. So I do the hands-off thing, which is what I'm supposed to be doing. I had got a child. Somebody emailed me, a follower, and said, this child is in hospice. She's 2 years old. She's on her deathbed. And I think that maybe, can you look at it and tell us if you can help? And when I looked at it, it was black magic that was done on the mother so that she would not have the child. Somebody was jealous, I think. She had the child, but the person that did the black magic, the petition very specifically would be that the baby die in utero and that's it, it's over. The baby didn't die. The baby was born, but there was black magic for the baby to die. So the baby struggled since birth. At 2, she was already in hospice. I get the email. I say, black magic. Okay, can you take care of it? Yes. Whatever. I took care of it. Within 2 hours, the child woke up. Now, I tracked this and I documented it and I had permission to give it out and I did. And it's interesting because I have several friends who are doctors. And I think of the 5 that I sent it to, 3 of them got back to me and said, you know what? I see that a lot in my practice, but we can't say anything. Now, within 2 hours of this kid who was going to die because of black magic, the intention of what was sent to her woke up. It took another 3 months for the family to be able to get a doctor to come visit her at home because, after all, she was on hospice and the kid was going to die. Well, the kid didn't die. The kid continued to live several more years. No thanks to the medical system. Her situation was so bizarre that they even sent her stuff to Washington to check, to do, I don't know what kind of analysis. What can I tell you? So the Trump, I don't know what his whole health is, but this is black magic from the second energy center chakra, second and the first, and then all of the chakras in the underworld, all of these here, all of them have black magic, which is the element of too much earth. You continue to live, but you can't, all the stuff that these lower energy centers are supposed to generate, the reality they're supposed to create, can't be created. So somebody did this very specifically and very thoughtfully and included the second energy center. So those of you that are a little bit curious, go look up and see what the second energy center is about to find out why, for a politician at his age, they would want to take down the energy center that we know the most for sexuality, but it's also for the sacred connection to God. So, uh, okay, so his heart is limping. Well, at his age, that would make sense. Um, so he's got congestion of rage in his heart. He feels really sad, but also very angry at the people that turned on him with the messiness of the Epstein files. Let me tell you something. In the future, when they do movies about planet Earth and they talk about revelations, the apocalypse, the next words out of their mouth or on screen are going to be the Epstein files. So it's not a question of me saying we better get this right. It's a question of me reminding you that if we are in the apocalypse, it's a battle between light and dark. We better be careful with misidentifying people. You, you need to step back. What have I done with this thing, with this mess with the Epstein thing? I was furious when it happened. This sets back my future. This is supposed to be over with because I'm a sex trafficking victim and I was set up with presidents of this country and everybody knows it. So I was like, my God, how could you do that, Trump? And then I went, wait a second. And then as stuff started coming out, I went, we really are dumb. We are so addicted to authority that we actually thought that the intelligence community in this country, who were the ones that trafficked me with the presidents, we actually thought that they were going to keep their hands off of that list and keep it pristine until it was supposed to be presented to the public. I got a bridge to sell you. I'm so sorry. I already sold it to 10 other people. No, there's no way that list can be accurate if it was in their hands, and it was in their hands for years. So, you know what? I'm not upset at Trump anymore. I'm stepping back and going, please, God, help us with our intention that the truth win. And you know my story if you've been following me for months. When I started to scream about my handler and what was being done to me, let go of my family, I don't want to do this anymore, I've never been paid a penny. They plotted all sorts of plots. They took down my reputation, and the FBI paid to have my reputation trashed. Got it? That's where the funding came from. And so there was situations setting me up to take pornographic videos of me. I was like, I remember saying to them, and I know you're going to say, how did that go? Eventually you'll find out. I mean, saying, you know what? You guys go ahead and put this out there. Go ahead, put this out there. You think somebody's not going to ask why the hell an old lady with cellulite is going to participate in something like this? They're going to start asking who's holding that camera and why didn't they give this before and why didn't they call the police? The stuff that the bad guys come up with, and now with AI, if your heart intelligence, the intelligence of your heart that Plato and Aristotle said was what was important, if it is not operational, you are going to get so jerked around because it's been said that now at the end of Revelations, nobody's going to know who to trust. Because you see, your kid that you don't pay a lot of attention to but spends all of his time on the computer, he may already be half of a zombie. The person you shouldn't trust may be the person you love the most. And what you have to do is you have to step back and observe. Now, obviously, something happened to Trump weeks ago, and I said that he was poisoned with black magic. I just remembered that now. I said that. Now, is this that black magic from weeks ago to where something in him changed? I don't know. It could have been another one. There could be three of these. This is what I'm seeing today. Now, does that mean his veins are great in his legs and they'll be great when they take this off? No. What it means is that he has weaknesses there. And so this was able to hit enough to where they had to tell the public, we got a problem here. So I have no idea how long I've been talking. 21 minutes. So we got Yellowstone doing enough to where the animals, and not just one animal, one group of animals, but several, the bison, and I don't know what other, however you pronounce that, moving in groups out of Yellowstone. We go in, we do the maps, which I trust, and if you don't, then honestly, I don't know why you're here. There's not going to be enough political gossip, and we were able to reduce it. Now, if I had the connections, I would have somebody say, what are the rumblings, or how would we document this? Not to say, God, Francis, you're great, but to say, oh my God, anybody can do this, which is true, which is what I'm trying to tell you. You can do that. Now, how heated up is your house that somebody's going to lose it? You can reduce that too. You go to Francis Fox Reveals on YouTube, you go to the Mantrista playlist, Mantrista music playlist, and you got them all there. And if you can't figure it out, it's because you're not thinking. If your house has too much fire, people are very irritable. Then when you see those musics and you see the one all full of water, that'll help reduce the fire in your house, because water and earth put out fire. And that's why earth on Trump's legs and hips, that's what it is. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. That question of why would they go up to the second chakra? Your second chakra controls your hips, and your hips control your direction in life. Now, I'm going to have to check that out afterwards, and I'll let you know tomorrow if I made a mistake. But, oh, wow, my throat did something really weird. I'm going to ask the dolphins right now, because I've always wondered where I got that information from and whether it's accurate, which is what's important, is that it be accurate. The hips are related to the second chakra. So my question, I just asked the dolphins, my question of what, is this my computer going to keep doing this? Yes, it is. Okay. Um, so my question of why would they go up to the second chakra in terms of this black magic is because that energy center, the one that controls sexuality, creativity, manifestation, and connection to God, controls your hips. And they don't want him to be in control. They don't want him moving in the direction that he wants to go in. They want so much of the element of earth that it feel like worse than walking in water. Okay. Um, we are all an assemblage of bodies, and they talk a lot about in Kabbalism an empty vessel, and how some people are empty vessels. And I think, I'm not sure that you're not getting it all confused, the whole clone thing, but I may be the one who's getting it confused, but it doesn't matter. An empty vessel is the bodies, my physical body and my etheric, but I'm not there. I'm gone, and somebody else is there. Their mind, their spirit is there. I look like me, but I'm not me. Like when somebody drinks too much alcohol and you look at them and you go, that doesn't look like him. I mean, that's his body, but it doesn't look, or somebody who's on drugs. Okay, that's my father, that's my brother, that's my sister, whatever, but that doesn't look like me. There's something, because it's not them. But we're so identified with the physical. So we have a lot of empty vessels, and a lot of people eject from their assemblage of bodies because they're frightened. And that's a problem, because today everybody's frightened. So the mantra for that is really simple. Even though I'm afraid, I love and accept myself. And if you have panic attacks, and I do, even though I'm afraid and want to die, I love and accept myself. It would be very important, and again, I'm giving you homework. You need to look at everybody around you. You look at them and you make sure that they're willing to look in your eyes, even if it's just a second. You're pulling their soul back into, which is really their spirit, back into the assemblage of bodies. And if you notice people that are really down or they're especially quiet, then you do the mantra, even though I want to die, I love and accept myself. And you tell God this is for them, but it's also for you. It helps you because that they're feeling can land on you. So you're going to do that. You pay attention to your people, your people. Then you're going to put olive oil in your ears. And I keep forgetting to ask the dolphins why olive oil. I'll do cannabis. No, they said olive oil. They know we have cannabis oil. Olive oil in your ears. These are portals and they're being used to enter our system. A lot of empty vessels are getting, a lot of my followers tell me that at night they feel like something went into their ear. When we do purifications, a lot of times they say, oh, something just left my ear. Just a couple of drops of olive oil, not going to kill you. And your belly button, you need to have coconut oil there. Every single day, I have a piece of gossip. So these crises, the Yellowstone thing, let's say it something, even minimally, people go into shock. They leave, they become an empty vessel. We have to give people hope and we should not lie. This whole thing of, oh, don't worry your pretty little head about it, that doesn't work. Because then people fill in the blanks or they walk around and then they fall off the edge and no, but they should have told me there was an edge. We need to have enough information, but we need to take care of the emotional reaction to living in end times, which is not easy. In terms of the people that follow me, one of the important things I've noticed, and everybody else has also, we don't have that hysteria when something god awful happens, whether it's within our family, someplace else. We have a problem. And of course, you have to ask, why do I need this problem? And then you go ahead and what's the solution? We already kind of know how to adjust, like the elements in terms of the music and whatever, whatever. So something has to happen to give people tools that actually work. Okay? That actually work. So we go to baseline, which is what I teach, metaphysics, the bottom line. And it's the elements and the mind, but also images. Images is how the mind starts to the process of creation. And I think that's why in the future, when they look back, they're going to say that AI was a major contributor of the destruction of whoever ends up getting left on planet Earth. Because some of us will be ascending into a much better, what they call a new Earth. Don't ask me how that goes. I have no idea. So it's for me been an incredible day in which I feel extremely empowered because it doesn't really matter what reality is playing out there. I have skills and tools, and I'm still able to reach you and to teach you. And I think people are listening more. The Epstein file issue is bigger for me than all of the rest of you put together. If any person has the right or would have the reason to say Trump is trying to hide to take care of himself, it would be me. No question. But I know what happened to me when I started to talk about this, the stuff that the Epstein files are about. People cannot deal with it. They prefer to say that you are the problem than having to adjust to that level of evil and then throw in the mind control. Who's really a nice person, but's a mind control victim. Who did god awful things that they would have never done if there wasn't mind control or there had been some help. A lot of people. The truth is what will settle everything, and the emotion that has to be dealt with is shame. My feeling is that they have set up Trump so badly that, and he didn't say, like me, somebody's got to ask why an old lady with cellulite would allow or actively participate in something like that. I'm sure he didn't say anything like that. I didn't really have any more options. I had zero support. And then the people needing to cling to their belief systems and their thoughts about me, once it started to get revealed, it became a little bit obvious with news that the crazy lady was not so crazy. He's in a much worse position. Do they have documented an indiscretion, or do they have documented an AI whatever? Oh yeah, I know they picked up one person. You've got a gazillion kids out there. So we are in really interesting times, and a big group of us is going to win. And the work that we have left is to try to get as many people as possible in a frequency where when we get fried again next with weapons that control the elements, that we ended up getting lifted out, which the Bible said, but I'm not quoting them exclusively. The Mayans said it also, and so did the dolphins. So it is not all lost, but it is one hell of a mess. Okay, back to the health thing. So, like that little kid that woke up from her coma, within 2 hours, it was, I think, less than that. That was several years ago. The same thing. The situation will improve dramatically once this is removed. And I think I must have an awful lot of good people following me, because when those maps have black magic, I'm not the one taking it off. Other people are. And that's a very good thing. And thank you, by the way, because it ends up making me look good. Because the next time I sketch, it looks great. And people assume it was me. We're all in this together. So this has to end the broken heart. The number one mantra that my group does is, even though I hate, my heart is broken, and I want to die, I love and accept myself. The hate is this frustration we're feeling, whether even if your life is perfect, because remember that transfers. So even though I hate, my heart is broken heart, too much fire. Oh, and he has gotten a bit, Trump, you have gotten a bit hateful. The statements that you're making. Step back. Allow the truth to get revealed. Step back. But see, he's vibrating with this, the red, the hate. Okay, so you have your homework. Um, okay, Mariela's saying that acquaintance of hers has two people who OD'd this week, and a cousin of his committed suicide. We are trying to work it out. But there's the mantra, which is why your first piece of homework for all of you, Mariela, now for you too, you look around your people and you do the mantra for them. If they look a little bit suspicious, don't even bother asking them if they want to die or they want to kill themselves, because they're going to say no. Those are self-esteem issues, and because that stuff is not acceptable. And that's another thing about this other dimensional stuff. Everybody sees everything. So hiding it doesn't make any sense. I will tell you that in all my social media, the thing that is being responded to the most has to do with the suicide virus that has hit this country, no, the planet several times, and the wanting to die. The posts that talk about that, and the posts that talk about your dark side. So it's good. So yeah, people are a little bit more in contact with it. So I have time. Let's do that mantra. Let's do it. Even though I hate, and I'm going to put the music on that's for the second chakra, the one that controls your hips, which is your direction in life. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to put on the music for your sacral chakra, which I forgot to tell you is also where joy is generated and channeled in all human beings. And all of you can do this, by the way, for Trump, because that will help relieve a little bit of all of this red. It won't take off the black markers on its own. I'm sorry. I wish it would. By the way, when I looked up Trump's condition in the internet, it doesn't sound that serious. If you look at the people screaming about it, the ones that are his enemies, it sounds like it's the end of the world and he's on his deathbed, and that does not appear to be the case. And the fact that his ankles are swollen, ask any female who's been pregnant how their ankles get. I mean, the reaction to his swollen ankles is that level. I think the person does not really have enough to do or is really scrounging around for a reason to contribute to a hysteria that's already there. I thought I would find something awful because I'm not a medical doctor, and the way it read, I think I still have it here. Uh, no, I don't. I took it down, but it was very simple. Not that your regular doctor can take care of it because they don't really know what it is, but it's anyway. This particular mantra is the mantra that my whole group did, and we do lots of different types of mantras. But this particular mantra, even though I hate, my heart is broken, and I want to die, love and accept myself, we think is the reason why practically nobody in the Mantrista movement got the plague. I don't use the word. So the word the plague is basically it. And we feel because when the plague came around, we checked to see what happened to the original person that supposedly was the where it all started, whatever. And what we got was it had to do with broken heart. So we understood that we needed to take care of the heart, even though my heart is broken. Anyway, we will see you again. I'm very happy, and I hope this news, what's going on in terms of gossip, Schiff, I think, is basically gone. And they caught him on the housing thing, and I think they can put him away quicker with that. But I think he also lost his connections. He's not getting vitalized. He's certainly not getting the energy from me. And my handler, honestly, I think my handler spent the last 3 or 4 days in the apartment next to me, literally. And he would spend in different times of the day and at night trying to energetically, other dimensions without physical contact with me, insert his mind streams in order to be able to feed off of my energy. I was not aware of that. I couldn't conceive that he could actually physically be there. I could be totally wrong, but I did follow the mind stream that was trying to insert in me, and it went there. So I don't think he's there now, but I think Shift ran out the gasoline he used, which is other people, not available. And I believe my handler the same. And then we get into the question of who's going to be the handler. Are people like me going to have handlers? What's going on here? We don't really know. But all this light being shed on it makes it much more difficult. But it's all about the other dimensions. Okay? Thank you for joining me. Hello, how are you? My name is Francis Fox, and why would you even listen to me? I have an interesting combination of life experiences plus training. But more than that, my intention to give you extra information during revelations. Ah, so there's so much information out there. Yes, but how much of that information is actually coming from the right place and intention? How much of that information is accurate? How much of that information comes from a place where the lens is wider to where you can have more of an understanding of that information in relationship to the era that we live in? All that information that comes in, does it take into account how frequencies can affect your mind and the way you view things? So we're in Revelations, and we have very, very iffy sources of information. So there was another hysteria having to do with the Epstein Trump episode scandals. What? and Wall Street Journal and they. You know what? You guys must have led very soft lives. You have never really been in the kind of dark place that a lot of people have been in. When you've been in that dark place, you go one of two ways. You become part of it, you lose it, whatever, or if you get lucky enough or you're strong enough, you step back and you go, okay, wait a second, there's a message here. There is a reason, and I'm not defending Trump at all, and I don't need to defend anybody because nobody needs to be defended. What needs to be understood is why. But the whole issue of light and dark is not understood. So I'm going to tell a story, and depending upon how comfortable I feel, maybe I'll tell you a couple of other stories for you to widen your lens so that you can see that what you think you've got a grip on that you know, and then there's another piece of information, you're actually not looking at the right thing. Can I tell you exactly the right thing? No. But I can tell you you're not doing the right thing because I can see that there is like zero understanding of the situation. So, you know that I was in a military mind control program. I was actually bred for that program. Literally. Okay. The training was very difficult. I was in Remain Air Force Base, which of course they already closed down and they razed it to the ground and they burnt everything because there would be so much evidence there. So if you ever meet anybody from Remain Air Force Base, or if you know any military from Remain Air Force Base, you need to know that you could not get near Remain Air Force Base unless you were part of a very dark process. This is the first time I've said this openly in terms of saying the name of the base. So we lived in a house outside town, and there was a forest between the town in Germany, and so they used to pick me up at night, and there used to be a lot of stuff that they would put me through at night. And one of the times, it's okay for me to say this. It is okay for me to say this. One of the times they picked me up and we went to the wooded area, all these military guys, and they took all of my clothes off and they filled me with blood and pieces of meat. And they had a German Shepherd. They used German Shepherds a lot to frighten us. I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, maximum 10. Um, and my mafioso enemies used to circle around my block with German Shepherds to see if they could trigger programming and get me to submit to whatever they would. So here I am. I'm a kid. I'm all full of blood. It's not mine. And they've got a German Shepherd that's, I think, very hungry. So they put a blue ribbon around the German Shepherd's neck. And they said, let's see who wins. Let's see if you can bring back that blue ribbon. And I took off running in the forest to see what tree I could climb. What I don't actually remember much about that piece. It would have been very short anyway. And the German Shepherd caught up with me. So here I am with blood on me. The German Shepherd is, you could say, bloodthirsty. I'm grabbing the German Shepherd and we're like this. German Shepherd's face, my face. And all of a sudden, there was a spark between my eyes and the German Shepherd's eyes. And there was an instant understanding of what needed to happen next. Which, by the way, I don't remember that part. But I walked out of that forest with that blue ribbon. And they were so impressed. Again, look what Frances, my God, what she can do. I mean, It's obvious to you that the dog allowed this to happen. It's obvious to you, I hope, that that moment of understanding between that animal and me was sacred, magical, and information giving. This is something that needs to happen now. It happened. What am I saying to you? What I'm saying is you can't judge bad things. You can't judge things as good or bad. You have to see what the intention is. Where are we going with this? Where were we going? Where's the story going? There is no story going. I'm telling you a story of my life and what I went through. That happened more than one time, to where there would be a moment in which it was like, I'm going to be gone in 5 minutes, in 3 minutes, in 1 minute. And there'd be a flash and an understanding that no, I needed to continue forward. And that other person, not. It took me a long time before I could tell these stories. And it had me very confused for a long time, because that would kind of indicate that I was like an important person. And there was an agreement behind the scenes that I wasn't part of, that I needed to be allowed to continue forward. I'm not talking about intelligence community saying, let's use her as a little puppet. I'm talking, this was with a dog. So when you look, I want you to remember those two stories. And then I said one of those stories to a man that taught me a lot. Brutal, but he taught me a lot. And he said, in the past, the indigenous people, when they needed food for the tribe, and they would decide to go the next day to the river to see if some animals would be there. He said the animals would go and be by the river so that the tribe could have their food. And you go, no, 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 that's not the way it goes. I'm telling you a story that the indigenous are familiar with and they're aware of and they believe and they pass on. And then I'm telling you my story. There was another time that the whole issue with being cold, I have big trauma with being cold. I cannot be cold. But I was in Germany. A lot of the training was at night. It was snowing. It was whatever. So one time, my father took me out to the woods, took all my clothes, and just left me there. No shoes, no clothes, in the snow. And again, it was a test. Was I magical? What could I do? And I'm standing there, and the only thing that I remembered is that an angel came and picked me up, just held me up. I was not cold. My father comes back. I don't remember anybody else being with him. But eventually, the other men joined, or however that played out. And they were like, oh my God, how did she do that? I guess there's two messages here. One is, you really don't know what the hell life is about. And I didn't either. And the second message is, which I'm reminding myself now, we have so much more help than we know. There is so much out there, from our pets to an object falling and keeping you out of trouble, to angels, which I never believed in, to spirit guides. Did my training teach me this? No. My life experiences taught me that. Did I fully integrate this? No. I was too busy trying to survive mentally and trying to keep my head intact because of all the frequency attacks and all of the threats to my family, the threats to me, the abuse, all the rest of that. So if you widen your lens, you can understand and see that we are in Revelations. Okay. Now, the Bible talks about it. I don't think they said very much. The Mayans talked about it, and they said that what was going to get revealed was everybody's dark side. Oh, well, that's where we're at, the Epstein files. No, no, no. What they said was that people would see their dark side and that they wouldn't be able to tolerate it. And that is what's going to cause the downfall of society. Not you accusing Trump and not Elon scratching his head. Oh my God, was he? Wasn't he? Why did he? No. Each and every one of us having to deal with our darkness. That's how the Mayans said it was going to end. And can I tell you something? I trust the Mayans. In the Bible, they say they don't know how it's going to end anyway. In the Mayans said it's going to be one hell of a mess, but it's not. It's going to be people accusing each other. It's going to be people wanting to die or going crazy because they saw their darkness and they can't tolerate it. So we have here a society that has not been willing to deal with this darkness. So I was thinking, and I do this a lot, and people tell stories from different religions, from different things, and I say, listen, if when you were a kid, you came home and you told your mother that story, your mother would tell you you were lying. Half the stuff our religions teach us, you would never, ever stand up in a public forum and repeat that as if it came from you, because it's obviously off. You can say that it was in such and such a book. That's what I like about Buddhism. There's not a lot written, and the Buddha supposedly said that he didn't want anything that he said written because he didn't know if it would be contextually valid. And that's what I think I'm saying, contextually valid for today. So then I got into this thing. How would we explain? How are you guys going to explain this to God? Okay. So then everything ends and you're talking to God, and then God says, "Tell me about this Epstein thing. I don't get it." Well, oh, so where's Epstein from? Oh, we really don't know where he's from. Oh, I'm sure some people must, but honestly, most of us we don't know where he's from. Okay, so what was it all about? Well, Epstein, he would take people in his plane to a place, and then they would have a lot of sex with inappropriate and with little kids, and it was all a big secret. And there was what God was saying, but why was it such a big secret? They wanted sex. Well, no, but you can only have sex with your wife. Oh, that's interesting. So how many people only have sex with their wife? Well, nobody. They don't really, I mean, they're supposed to, but they don't limit themselves to their wives. There's very few people, God, that actually make it through the end of the marriage and they weren't with someone else. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so all these people, society got destroyed because you have all of these people, a lot of whom everybody thought were really good people. And did a lot of them did a lot of good things. So they wanted orgasms. And you go, no, 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 no. They were into perverted sex. Yeah, but sex, the goal is orgasm. This is God talking. That's not the point, God. That's not the point. And God's going, but maybe that is the point. So, what is it about orgasm that everybody has to do all these shenanigans to get there? God, that is really not the point. How could it not be the point? Why was why were they going to the island? Well, they were going to the island to have sex. Well, but why do people have sex? Well, why do people have sex? Well, for orgasm. So then all these people are looking for orgasm. God, you just don't get it. You know what? You guys don't get it. You don't even know what orgasm is? Orgasm is spiritual ecstasy. Look at St. Teresa's statue, St. Teresa de Avila. She did an autobiography. She describes her meeting with an angel with his lance that makes her feel hot. And you look at her face in the statue and she's in the middle of an orgasm. She's describing an orgasm. No, she's describing spiritual ecstasy. Yes, she is, which is orgasm. That's what orgasm is. So, what was God's point? What God's point is the point. Why are they flying to the island? Why are they looking for young girls? And why are they looking for perverted pornography. Well, both those things can help stimulate a man who's not able to achieve orgasm easily. So we're still back to orgasm because it's a lot more comfortable for the men just to have their sex in their bedroom with their wives. Why all of this running around, all of this dangerous situation? By the way, fear augments sexual energies. Fear of being caught. And that is stimulating for people, for men, I guess women also, who are limping in their orgasm seeking ability. So now we have a bigger problem than everything else put together, according to Elon Musk, to Trump, and to everybody else, and I believe them. We're in population collapse, and humanity is going to end. Nobody's having sex. Oh, yeah, but they're running off to islands and they're doing all these things to have sex. What the hell? I'm sure God's going, wait a second. Wait a second. Who's in charge here? Nobody. Well, the press, the media, and they love to make issues. Well, but does the media talk about sex and orgasm? You can't talk about sex and orgasm on any social platform because they take down your platform. Why do they do that? Well, we don't want to offend anybody. Sex offends people? The connection to God, spiritual ecstasy offends people? Well, yeah, apparently. Like the churchgoers. The churchgoers. Okay. Well, what do they say about sex and spiritual ecstasy? Well, their leader, they kind of did this thing and in history, and they kind of said that the leader never had sex. And he was actually conceived without sex. And God says, and you guys bought that? I got a river to son. No. Yeah, we bought that. So your spiritual leader was born, but the mother never had sex. And he never had sex, but he's your leader and he's teaching you how to do life. And your big issue that looks like it's going to destroy society is the Epstein list, but they don't really care that the guy anybody got on his plane. They care about the fact they went to an island that was all about sex. Okay. I don't know what to tell you guys. You're still focusing on the wrong thing. You have population collapse having to do with no sex. You have everybody talking about the Epstein thing. They're not talking about sex. You're holding up a model for society that nobody follows. Therefore, we're all bad. Look at that poor CEO that went to the concert, the Coldplay concert, and they put him up there. His life is going to be destroyed. By the way, somebody was very mean in X. They put a photograph of his wife and their kids in the kitchen, and their comment was, she's going to be making $1 gazillion. That was mean. Really, really, really mean. But people's people are too addicted to the frequency of microwave, which is all the electronics, and microwave turns people into mean people and to bad people and to aggressive people and to further. And by the way, kills sex drive. So let's not even tell God about the whole thing with the cell phone and how it kills sex drive and it reduces sperm count. So all these women that can't get pregnant, that. But don't tell God about that because he's going to be like, you know what? I think you need to turn around and go back. Can you make a difference over there? Will somebody listen to you? No, actually, they won't. Why won't they listen to you? I can't talk about this on social media. They'll take my platforms down. I can't talk about it socially because everybody has all this shame about sex. Why are they ashamed about sex? The leader of the religion, he never had sex. So obviously it must have been bad. You're not going to figure this out. What you have to do is stay centered and pray that your intelligence of the heart, which Aristotle and Plato said was the important intelligence, not the intelligence of the head, intelligence of the heart, that the intelligence of the heart guides you to what you should be doing and where you should be at. Throwing yourself into this thing with Epstein is going to get you no place because you see, my control, I have to be careful, would look at things with a very wide lens. He would look at things because he was in the government, he had important positions, and he was very much behind the scenes in things where he didn't have an official position. He would look at things and make decisions and taught me, you make decisions like this. What happens in 5 years if I do this? What happens in 10, 15, 25, 50, and 100 years? People don't think like that, but they actually should because it makes a huge difference. One of the things he taught me about marriage, he was very strict. He was what? WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Oh my God. And an earth sign, very, mm. But being able to widen the lens helps a lot. If you can, so I'm going to give an opinion. This is an opinion. If you can be as solidly behind Trump as you've been up till now, most of the people who follow me, and this stuff comes out, the perfect expression is the shit hits the fan with what was new, I don't know. And you can turn, I'm not too sure you're much of a solid citizen. Or maybe you're not aware, which I think is where I was going when I was talking about my control and planning things 100 years in advance. The bad guys know about all this stuff with revelations. They know all about the ETs. They're in control. They're in charge. They know everything is going to be revealed. I remember, let's see if I can say this story. Give me a second. I remember overhearing a conversation from my control, and he was telling actually Gerardo Rivera, who's not my favorite person, but he will like this. This person was telling somebody else over the phone, listen, everything, and this would have been 40 years ago, not today, 40 years ago. He was saying everything is going to be revealed. That goddamn Gerardo Rivera show has given everybody permission to talk. So what did they do? The bad guys, because this guy, my controller, was one of the bad guys. Very bright. Um, what did they do? I'm not exactly sure what they do, but I can guarantee you that they took care of that. Oh, everything's going to be revealed. Okay, so then we have to create information. We're talking 40 years ago. It could have been 50. I'm not sure. I remembered it in the early 90s. So we should create all this stuff about the good guys starting now and throw it into the mix. And then at some point in the future, when it all comes out, this stuff that we created is going to come out too. And people are going to get totally confused, which is what's happening now. Now, do I know exactly that these people knew my control and they were part of the ones that 40 or 50 years ago? No. But I remember the conversation, and I know because they worked on things that had to do with planetary history, which none of you do, and they would have known about revelations, they would have known about all this stuff. So they took care of it well in advance. And there you are at home getting your stuff on the internet, not the important stuff about orgasm, not the important stuff about how everything's been distorted. No, 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 no. You're still going to things like newspapers and you're listening to them and you're reacting. Well, first place, if you want to stay sane, you can't react. You have to find your center. You can look at stuff, but if you start reacting, first place, when this whole thing with Trump started, the Epstein, what, a week and a half ago, I was ready to just jump into a deep depression. And then I went, no, 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 no. From there, I'm not getting any place. And I continued my work. I continued the maps. The maps look good. They are limping, but the planet is limping because guess what? You're so busy talking about the whole Epstein thing. You're not taking in the fact that the planet now, today, is under alien attack. But they don't use bombs and submachine guns. They use frequencies. They heat up human assemblage, the human mind. When you have too much heat in your head, that's the basis for mental illness, according to Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. You don't even know that. You're not seeing that. You have quit pointing your finger. Why aren't they admitting the whole thing with the aliens? Well, you already know that they know about the aliens. You already know they have bodies. You already know that they were incredibly disrespectful to the Peruvians that had bodies and the Mexicans. They spit on them because they said they had alien bodies. You know what? Now the university professors in the United States are going over to check it out, but you lost your position in the world because everybody knows there's aliens and everybody knows there's bodies and everybody knows about the alien attacks except you guys. And then you're busy arguing about the Epstein thing, and it's all a setup in the first place. And Trump said it and everybody else said it. The bad guys were in charge of the file forever. Did you really think they were just playing canasta? If 40 years ago, the people in charge, the bad guys in charge, knew that Revelations was going to happen, do you think they sat there twiddling their thumbs? They didn't. So now let me see if I can make this statement. I need to make sure I don't get into trouble. The handling of the archives the archives are only handled by the top people in the intelligence community. So when you're talking about the history of this country, that goes through the filter of the intelligence community, what they want you to know. Now, was all that information from Epstein in the intelligence community's hands? Yes. And whose hands would it have been in? The top people. And what's their specialty? Disinformation. I knew more about disinformation than all of you guys put together in the 90s because the guy that controlled me was a specialist. It's disgusting how easy it is to point you in a different direction. Now somebody started in with Melania. She had an Epstein visa. Let me tell you something. People in glass houses cannot throw stones. I'm not talking about Trump and Melania. I'm talking about all of you guys. We have had a system that has been very kind of loose. And we have all done stuff that today we would prefer not to say that we have done because today it's considered like bad, the end of the world. It was always stuff that supposedly you weren't supposed to do, but you could do it. It was everybody did it. It was okay. When I see that they caught whoever, Schiff, mortgage fraud. Okay, God, that guy that's been the worst. He's going down because of mortgage fraud. What's that? Oh, he said that that was the house he lived in. Well, what's the big deal with that? Well, there's a law. You can't. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do not expect a lot of support if you step back and you start looking at things and you widen your lens. The person that was your enemy for a long time can end up actually being your biggest support. And that being your enemy may have been a process that was necessary for one or both of you to become stronger or to understand something or to get positioned for something. The white and black, the dark, the light, the good, and all the rest of that, if you don't let that go, you're going to be really miserable from here until the end. And we're basically almost at the end, because those lines have been released. This is why Jesus Christ said, don't judge. In Buddhism, you don't judge. You're not supposed to judge. But it's not that you're supposed to shut your mouth and not say what you're thinking. You're not supposed to judge that they're bad, that they're evil, that they're dark. And you're doing it. And you're putting yourself on one side of the line when that division has been erased. But if you're not in the center of it, we're all waiting for the next person to fall, the revelations about the next person. Why is it so much fun to get people, to see people fall? Where's, and this is just theoretical, I'm saying, where's the compassion? It's not there. Well, you, baby, should look for it, because you see, your darkness will also come out. And if you haven't done anything that's bad in your entire life, you must be like a really boring person living by yourself, whatever. I don't know. Because this is a planet of duality, light and dark. And this is the point at which the two have to come together and merge. And that merging creates a human with incredible strength. I couldn't have the strength I had today if I hadn't been through all that darkness. Before I incarnated, I chose to be in the deepest darkness, which ended up being the US military intelligence, the deepest darkness on the planet, because I wanted to learn and I wanted to be positioned. So you could say, no, she's still being handled, Francis. I was the one who chose where I was going to be born and the reason why. And yes, do I still have people try to handle me? Yes. Do I know who my next handler is? I'm hoping that Trump is strong enough and there will not be a next handler. But regardless, I need to do what I need to do. I need to say what I need to say. So I think that when everything ends, if you go upstairs to God and you start telling him what things were like at the end, he's going to be, but what about orgasm? So all those people wanted orgasm and everybody was stopping them? Why? No, well, No, I don't know. Why was everybody being stopped from having orgasms? Why did they have to run off to an island? Look at St. Teresa of Avila. Look at the statue. I think I already took it down. I used to have it here. No, I have it because it's a cover of my book. This is St. Teresa of Avila. This is her, and the angel has a lance in his right hand. You can't see it in the picture. And she's in the middle of ecstasy from an orgasm without having had physical body sex, which they teach you in Buddhist Tantrism. I don't know that. Um, but that's not the first or the last time somebody has an orgasm without having a partner there. She's describing spiritual ecstasy. So basically, when all these people are running around and they're wanting orgasm, they're really looking for spiritual ecstasy. They don't know that, but they know the feeling. They know the feeling and they want it. And if you've ever experienced tantric sex, I have experienced it. I can tell you that after one experience of tantric sex, it's almost like, I remember telling my therapist, that was years ago. I remember telling her, it's almost like you don't want to live anymore because you had this experience that was so incredible and it kind of dulls the rest of life. And I'm speaking legitimately. Well, that's not a good thing either, but it dulls the rest of life, the life that we're required to live. By the way, dolphins, which I'm a dolphin consciousness, dolphins are known to be very sexual. Well, I took a group of people on a dolphin trip, and the man who ran the trip, and I don't remember his name, it was years ago. That's what he did for a living in the Bahamas, in Bimini. And he said, dolphins are known to be very sexual, but they're not really. They really don't have that much sex. They're very sensual. touching. They want to touch. They want to be together. They want to touch. I just wanted to throw that piece of information out. So, Yellowstone had and probably still has animals that are leaving in droves. And I have not checked if that's continuing. I need to have some kind of a place where I can go and somebody who actually checks Yellowstone every day. So if anybody has a connection, I mean, in terms of a website or whatever, I want to know what's happening with the animals. But let's go ahead and do the map and then let's finish. And I think I'm not going to do this Friday nights at 7 because I sit around waiting and everybody wants to start their weekend and I do too. So I think I'll do this on Fridays like at 5 if I do it on a Friday, okay? So here's the map. And the frequency in the United States is good, except for those two lines. And there is a bubble, and I don't know what states those are. But somebody should, let me see. US map. I can, let me see what states those are. I guess uh, uh, what? Give me a second. Those are Pennsylvania, Ohio. You need to look it up yourself because this will be very boring, this part, to the people that are listening to this in a podcast. So those have a heavy congestion of rage. So I'll get my group and we'll continue to work on that. The rest of the lines look good. I don't see any galactic Merkaba. That doesn't mean it's not there, but I'm not sketching it, which means that it's not strong. And you do have the gold pyramids in the Gulf of Mexico, and that is very stabilizing. And so what the map says at the top, because part of it is cut out, is repairing. The United States is repairing. People are waking up and understanding. And this helps Trump and the stability of the nation. So that is my contribution. It's very good because we are under an alien attack. I know it just went in this year and it went out the other. I know. When I worked intensely with my control decades ago, a lot of discoveries were made, such as eyeglasses that would contain a book in them. I remember one day telling my husband about that, and he went, "God, you're getting crazy." And anyway, a lot of things were discovered. And the funding for the program that I was in was supposedly to learn things to turn over to the school system so that they could help the kids raise their IQ, because you can raise IQ, by the way. They did that to all the kids in the program. I mean, a lot. Just frighten somebody enough. When they're young, they become a lot more intelligent. They're a lot more savvy. They know how to hop, skip, and run. They had to learn. So, and I would say to him, you really need to get this information to the public. And he'd say, the public is not interested. In one ear, out the other. So, we're going to let it go now. We're not even going to do a mantra. But I want to remind you that you have homework. You're to look at everybody around you, look in their eyes, make sure that they're inside their bodies. And you can tell when you look in their eyes, and when they don't want to look in your eyes, they're not in their body. Okay? So, get them in their body. Do the even though I want to die mantra. If you're near somebody that you know is not going to do it, and you kind of think that maybe they're like really unhappy, don't let people avoid looking at you. You need to look at all the people that you love. Okay? Face to face. You need to look at them. Or on a video chat. You need to put coconut oil in your belly button. That is a portal that the aliens that you don't really believe in, but you will if the government gives you permission. Yes, you will do that then. But don't believe in it. Just put coconut oil in your belly button every day. Olive oil in your ears. If you can sleep with green socks, it would be great because green is earth. And at night, we get very ungrounded, and that's when the spirits really, really invade. And two discoveries we made in my paid classes. I had 4 people that signed up for a very expensive class, but I sketched all 4 of them having to do with their jaw. Brux, bruxemia, however it's pronounced in Spanish. When you get lockjaw, your jaw's not working right, your jaw's out of. I had 4 people. 3 of the 4 people have a problem with their jaw because someone slapped them when they were young. Got that? But it makes sense. When you get slapped, you don't get slapped here. If you get slapped here. This is exactly where the jawbone is. I was not expecting that. Sleep apnea is when, if I sketch you and I sketch that your center axis has red here, that means you have sleep apnea. Or one of the symptoms will be sleep apnea. So, of the several people, but that class and other classes where I have sketched the tube that you have here, which is your Holy Grail, causal body, if it is full of red, you're going to have sleep apnea. Who gets sleep apnea? Don't go, who the hell is this woman saying these things? I'm just telling you what's getting revealed with my remote viewing, and I'm very well known for being really accurate. Sleep apnea. So do I do it? Do I say this the American way? Back door, underneath, or do I say it the way it is? I think I'll say it the way it is. If you have sleep apnea, you're a liar. What are you saying? What I'm saying is that you're not a truthful person. I never lie. Yeah, you do. You say you like your job, and you don't. You've hated it for years. You're just afraid to go out because you're too old and you don't. Well, but that's not lying. Yeah, that is lying. And you hate your wife's sister and you pretend you like her because you want everything to be fine in the family. Yeah, but everybody does that. It's still a lie. All this social lying has created issues for this energy center, which is, guess what? Like almost the most important. In Christianity, it says that the world started with the word, this energy center. In Hinduism and Buddhism, it starts with Om, a sound. This energy center here, not this, here is all about truth. And we're all liars. Now, does that mean you have to tell your wife that you hate her sister? No. Does that mean you have to say everything that you feel? No. That's the power of the mantras. They're done in silence. You can be at a party watching your wife's sister make a fool of herself and not stand her because you don't like that. And you can just sit there and nobody will know you're going, even though I hate her, I love and accept myself. Or even though I hate her and there's nothing I can do because you got to invite her to the parties, it's your wife's sister. Just do it silently, even though I hate her. You process your reaction and then you do whatever is socially acceptable. You don't have to tell anybody, but you can't keep it inside yourself because it's astral particles and they collect and then they end up creating disturbances in the flow of your consciousness. When it's not flowing here, it's actually here. You may end up with sleep apnea. You're also not able to energize your third eye. So those were the 2 exciting things that we discovered. I think I had already told you about the sleep apnea, but the one with the slap, I did not expect that. Okay, so that's it. And I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you try this little format that I have given you and try to explain to God your position on things. you're going to have, God is going to be looking at everything this wide and very whatever, and you're going to be looking at it to where the people who put out news took you, because you didn't get that information on your own, and you don't have the background information. You don't know that the archives are set up by the intelligence community. So US history is totally controlled. So 100 years from now, when they read about the United States, it will be through the filter of the people that almost took this country down. But you didn't know that. Okay. It's okay that you didn't know that. What's not okay is that you miss every opportunity for widening your lens and going, why would we need this problem? Why did Elon and Trump need that problem? Don't answer. I don't know. Why did we need this little upset right now? There was a reason for it. We only have a problem according to the way the planet is set up if we need it. Why did we need this more than a bump in the road? Was it to shake people up for them to kind of go, wait a second, I can't be reacting, because you see this reaction with how long, how many years did they have the Epstein files? I know what they can do in 5 minutes. I know what they did to my life to destroy my reputation. And this has been like 5 or 7 years. Because before that, it was just to simply keep me down, which they did a really good job at. Anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. Okay? And just think about it. How would you explain all of this to God? The whole sex thing, honestly, and none of you associate Epstein with orgasm. None of you. Or did he? Or Schiff? You don't upset. You don't see the connection. That statue of Saint Teresa is several hundred years old. When I show it to people and say she's in the middle of an orgasm, they go, oh my God, I know that statue. How come I never noticed that? Love you.